But just allow me to make a few points of highlights. The first one, Mr. Speaker, being the fact that the country was impressed with the President's commitment to the need for us to transform this country in keeping with our bottom-up economic plan. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Boni.
Yes.
You need first start with the motion.
Oh, I needed to move the motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am extremely sorry. And if you allow me, Clerk, I would like to read the motion before I move it. Mr. Speaker, this is the danger of being assigned a job. You are excited to finish. But if it was me coming in my seat, I would have started by what I did. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I move the motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, I move the motion, which is debate on the President's address to Parliament on the first day, being today. That pursuant to Standing Order number 25-1, the thanks of this Senate be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President, delivered on Thursday, the 9th November 2023, and further that the Senate notes the following report submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of Articles 132(1)(c) and Article 247 of the Constitution of Kenya, laid on the table of the Senate today on Tuesday, 14th November 2023. This report, Mr. Speaker, included the 10th State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, delivered at a joint sitting of Parliament on Thursday, 9th November. And 2, the 10th Annual Report 2022-2023 on the measures taken and progress achieved in realization of the national values and principles of governance. And 3, the Annual Report to Parliament on the state of the nation, the national security, November 2023. Mr. Speaker, with the advice of the clerk, because we want to allow as many people as possible to contribute, allow me not to be repetitive. What I had said in the 3 minutes earlier to apply during record of Hansard, copy and paste, so that I can move to the next point. My next point, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to congratulate the President for admitting before the joint sitting of the House that in Kenya today we have an existing condition, in fact conditions of extreme difficulty. There is extreme difficulty in the country. And some members of the public who mean well, they know that leadership must look for a solution. But other members of the public who want to score points want to use this opportunity of difficult circumstances that our people are going through to either make fun of leaders or confirm that they have failed. It is difficult. I've been in politics for over 20 years, and in my life I have never been heckled in the Luo nation. All the way from Kitale to Bungoma to Kakamega to Vihiga and to Busia and Luo and in the diaspora. Mr. Speaker, sir.
What is the point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Khalwale, the Senator of Kakamega, is misleading this House. In fact, as late as a few weeks ago, Boni Khalwale was heckled in his own village when he tried to convince people to replace the existing border motorcycles with electric ones. This is something of a matter of public record to which Mr. Khalwale, Honorable Khalwale, should not lie to this House.
Senator Sifuna, I thought the good senator is admitting that for the first time he's going through a rough patch.
Mr. Speaker, I was saying that things are so difficult, my kid brother, that for a man who has never been heckled across the Luo nation, all the way from Kitale to Kakamega to Bungoma to Busia to Vihiga and the diaspora, for the first time, I was not only heckled, Mr. Speaker, but I was actually heckled at Marinya Stadium. Thank you. I was heckled at Marinya Stadium. And at Marinya Stadium, that is my home. That is my polling station. Marinya Stadium is the product of my hands. It is where, Mr. Speaker, the youth on the eve of polling usually sleep in the polling station waiting for the polling officers to come and open the station and so that they can vote for me. And Mr. Speaker, where I have always gotten 41 votes out of 3,800 votes plus as opposition votes to me. And I know the owners of those votes. They are, like I'm speaking now, I can see the vote of Ben Alusiola is one of those ODM votes, you know, small things. Mr. Speaker, I reflected hard and long on this. And then shortly after that, I saw Kenya's most popular politician today, William Ruto. There was a similar experience somewhere in the coast. And I went thinking further, and I realized, I called the president, I couldn't access him. I wanted to tell him, these people, they like us so much, it's not that they're heckling. They want us to hear it from them direct, that things are bad. So it doubles our calling that we must work hard and serve Kenyans a solution. I want to urge colleagues, members of parliament, whether you are in the opposition, we have been there. Now I'm in the government, I have been there. Let us work together, even if we're going to oppose each other at the forthcoming election. We work hard enough. Members of the opposition push us hard enough so that we can deliver. We want to make sure that we come out of this confusion that, as we all know, was occasioned by 2 years of total lockdown on the global market, including, Mr. Speaker, Chwele market in the backyard of the senator for Nairobi, including Lubao market was locked, Kayeke was locked, Mutwapa was locked for 2 years. There was no business. So things will take a while before we recover. I was talking to an economist, Mr. Speaker, and he was telling me something. If it is wrong, Americans, please forgive me. But the economist told me, it was not the economist in the house, the center of Migori. He told me the Americans are the only ones who enjoy the monopoly of printing money. And during the COVID time, they printed dollars and were putting on the accounts of Americans so that Americans could be cushioned from the difficulties of COVID-19 at that time. And he was telling me, he could be wrong, I don't know, I'm just sharing with you a good story of two adults when they are seated in the usual place. He told me, what's happening is that the Americans now, they are mopping out those dollars from the market. And therefore, the exercise of mopping out has made it difficult for you to get dollars. Obviously, when on the market a commodity is hard to get, when on the market a commodity is in high demand, it is called the law of supply and demand, that commodity becomes expensive. That's why the Kenya shilling, we are spending more money to get the dollar. The moment we get it right, you'll have your time to debate.
Senator Boni, yes. What is the point of order, Senator Kenyo? Mr. Speaker, I like listening to the good doctor. and senator for Kakamega. But Mr. Speaker, you know, sometimes he confuses us. Right now, he talked about the issue place, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know which is the issue place. It can be a bullfighting field, Mr. Speaker. It can be a bar. For me, issue place is the church. So I didn't know what he meant.
Mr. Speaker, that is frivolous. But all the same, I want to advise the young senator that when you will come of age, you will discover that people of adult age tend to sit in certain places in the evening so as to compare the greatness of their minds. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is because of that principle of supply and demand, the economist was telling me, that we are finding it difficult and finding the dollar very expensive. I'm hoping that he was right. Soon, the depreciation of our shilling will slow down. And I've been following it. I follow it every day. It used to appreciate from the time we took over government. It was appreciating sometimes by 20 shillings, sometimes by 5 shillings, like that. But now it has gone down. In the last 3 weeks, Mr. Speaker, it has been depreciating by cents. Today it was at 0.6. Before we went for weekend, it was at 0.5. Earlier on, it was 0.3. So we're doing well. And we would like to encourage Kenyans that you allow the things that the president spoke to, that we put in place for us to ensure that our country recovers. And by the way, my dear colleagues, able friends from the opposition, we gave you a chance to tell Kenyans how you'd fix it. And you told us we were not doing it well. What were we doing? We were giving cheaper fertilizer. Now down from 7,000 to 2,500. And you told us that could not be the magic bullet. We said beat. So you called big rallies, and I want to thank you for standing down your rallies. And your idea of lowering the food prices was putting cooking pots and sufurias on your heads. That kind of science, as a scientific mind, I can only relate it to mental illness. How on earth? It is not possible. If that is how we are going to teach our children at home, then we might as well outlaw education in this country. Mr. Speaker, the president, therefore, deserves our kudos for his commitment to our citizens. That was not only limited to that, but he also spoke to his commitment to the citizens' freedoms. His commitment, Mr. Speaker, to fundamental rights, and his commitment, Mr. Speaker, to democracy. Nothing is more important. Those of us who exercise fierce independence of mind, we do it because that has been our life, and we have decided that is our life. Young senator from Migori, at the age of 22, at the University of Nairobi, before I was discontinued, we poured into the streets of Nairobi because Khamenei had been detained. We poured into the streets of Nairobi at that time, Mr. Speaker, because Jaramogi Oginga Odinga had been put under house arrest somewhere in Bondo or his Kisumu house. The youth leader is here, Senator Siaya will confirm. We poured into the streets. We poured into the streets, Mr. Speaker, because George Kidhi, the editor general of the Standard newspaper, had been detained at the age of 22. And for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I and others, we were discontinued from the University of Nairobi. So, because we believed in those things then, I don't see how I can lose sight of the fact that people paid, including Kenneth Matiba, including Martin Shikuku, including John Maria Serene, who were detained because of defending the freedom of speech. Nobody should ever deny a politician or any other Kenyan the freedom to speak.